Juan Soto's right now in L.A. He's with Scott Boras. And, Scott Boras is going to spin the wheel and make the friggin' deal. So, Scott Boras is going to take the biggest and the best offer. Now, Juan Soto is going to get close to $12 million, worth about $640 million. That's where I see his number being. Maybe even somebody's going to break the bank and give him $700 million. Now, the Mets are an organization with an owner that makes billions of dollars. As a matter of fact, last year he made $1.5 billion, and he didn't really invest any big dollars in free agency. So that Steve or Uncle Stevie is going to be out there willing and ready to open up his pockets. His hedge funds are ready to explode. But right now, there are quite a few teams interested in this kid. The Blue Jays, who are looking to spend money, they don't want to spend it on their own players. Vladimir Guerrero's looking for a big contract. They haven't given him any money. They got two other big young stars on that roster that are looking for long-term deals. And they actually told the Blue Jays last year, because they wanted Shohei Ohtani.
Yep.
Does anybody remember that?
Yep.
That they were not they were willing to wait until the next offseason to sign a contract with the Blue Jays if they can bring Shohei Ohtani in. It never happened. He went to the Dodgers, and these two players, these two superstars, are still not signed by the Blue Jays. I don't know what the Blue Jays are looking for, or what Juan Soto is looking for. We all know it's all about the money. It's show me the money, as we've seen that in Jerry Maguire. The Red Sox, they would love to stick it to the New York Yankees. They would love it. The Yankees did it with Alex Rodriguez. We've seen this before. Alex Rodriguez was as good as traded to the Boston Red Sox, and there was some kind of stipulations in that trade that the MLB waived, and all of a sudden Brian Cashman jumped in and scooped A-Rod up. Does anybody remember that story? Why wouldn't Henry want to go out there and say, you know what, screw the Yankees, we're going to take your young superstar away from you, and we're going to put him in Red Sox letters. We're going to put him in Red Sox colors. And and I know a bunch of Red Sox fans that are listening to this show right now, because I know I've sent them the link. I know they would be absolutely excited to see Juan Soto as a Boston Red Sox. I wouldn't as a New York Yankee fan. I wouldn't. But guess what? If Juan Soto wants to take the most money, so be it. You can't blame the kid that he wants the most money. He waited for this contract. He's earned the right to make the most amount of money. Now, if he goes to the Red Sox, does he have a better chance of winning if he doesn't stay? If he stayed with the Yankees? Probably not. Not right now, especially the Red Sox and their pitching staff. If you go to the Mets right now, do you have a better chance of playing in the National League when you have to play the Dodgers? You got to play the young Diamondbacks or any of these, the Braves or any of these good teams right now in the National League, which, by the way, the National League had the better teams in their league. I mean, honestly, Juan Soto should be very, very smart on his decision-making, because if he wants to go down as one of the greatest players of all time, you want to play in a short ballpark. You want to play where there's a short porch where you're going to put up the best numbers. He has a chance to be a Yankee for the next 10 years. If he stays with the Yankees, he's 26, going to be 27 years old. You're talking about 40 to 45 home runs a season. You're talking about a guy that's going to give you 130, 140 RBIs every single season if he stays healthy, which, by the way, he's usually healthy all season long. I think in the last 3 or 4 years, he's played close to 140 or more games. So, I mean, Juan Soto has a chance to go down as one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Why not do it in pinstripes? That's where you would want to be. That's where you would want to go to the Hall of Fame in. But Juan Soto is all about the money, then so be it. You can't blame the kid to do that. Again, you're going to hear a lot of stories in the next couple of weeks about Juan Soto. Well, the Blue Jays, everybody would remember with the Shohei Ohtani.
Yep. He
was flying to the Blue Jays. He was flying to Toronto. There were stories coming out, and he was never flying to Toronto. Yep. He was in LA negotiating a deal with the Dodgers. A week later, he was signed with the Dodgers.
I think 2 days later or something
whatever,
like that. Yeah.
To defer money. Again, there's going to be a lot of stories where there's going to be inside sources, of course. We're going to hear so many things. But all in all, I don't think it's going to be much of a decision for any of these teams to drop the drop the handle or drop the bat on this guy. He's worth every penny. You saw what he did in the playoffs. He didn't do so much in the World Series, but who got the Yankees to the World Series? Who hit that 3-run home run in the 10 innings of play against the Cleveland Indians? It was him. It was Juan Soto. Besides Giancarlo Stanton, Juan Soto was the second best player throughout the playoffs for the New York Yankees. But again, I don't blame young Juan Soto. He's been waiting for this payday. He deserves every bit of it. And I do believe Francisco Lindor has a lot of say where the Mets go in free agency. He wants another young Dominican to come and play over there with him. Why not one of his closer friends, a guy that has always been in love with playing in Citi Field, Uncle Stevie, who's the richest owner in professional baseball, that will pull down his pants if he could to get Juan Soto to play over there at Citi Field. He would do anything to get Juan Soto over there. I do believe the Mets are going to win Juan Soto. They're going to win him. They're going to do whatever they can to bring Juan Soto over there to Citi Field. And by the way, he's going to sell a lot of jerseys. He's going to bring a lot of fans in there, no matter where the Mets go. But by the way, we've seen the Mets over the years bring in young players, young superstars after they become free agents to come and play over there, and they're not the same players. Now, Carlos Beltran, he proved that he was a great player for the New York Mets, but guess what? The Mets could never get over the hump. We've seen guys like, we just mentioned, Francisco Lindor. Francisco Lindor's been with a Met for how many years? 4 years. How many World Series have they played in? None. So you're paying a guy $320 million and no World Series appearances. I mean, that says a lot. So if you're going to open up your pocket, you're going to make sure that this guy is the missing piece that's going to get you to the promised land. It's all about money. You heard Juan Soto come out and say, I don't know if anybody listened to his press conference after the game. Jobby, you mentioned what he said. He pretty much said, hey, listen, it's great being here with the New York Yankees, but he didn't say it in the kind of words that you would expect him to say, but he pretty much told you he's going to wait for the best deal. He pretty much said it after the game that he is going to be looking for the most money. So there's nothing. It has nothing to do with friendship. It's all about cash, money. Who's going to give me the most money, the most years? Because we all know Juan Soto in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be a DH. So whoever decides to go after Juan Soto has to understand that if Juan Soto is the guy that you want to bring in 4 years in the outfield or 5 years in the outfield, and then he's your DH for the next 7 years. I mean, it's a huge, huge contract. You're going to pay a guy who's going to be your DH.
The writing's on the wall with right after the game and that press conference and how he said it. And then, obviously with the things coming out, and you bring up a great point, both of you, in the aspect of look at it from both sides. Like maybe if he hadn't won yet, maybe if he hasn't, done what he's done, then it's like, okay, I'll take less money, because to be considered one of the greatest ever, you got to win. And I mean, it's stupid to say, because there's some great ones that have never won. And you're going to see, obviously, in this breakdown of the next passing said by, I thought personally when free agency first started, I thought it would be after the first of the year, but as reports have come out, they're thinking it might get done before. But he's already won. He's going to sign for a crazy amount of money. I don't think anybody's going to look at it from the perspective of like, oh, he's just choosing the money. Well, okay, he's already won. He has a chance to win with A, B, and C. But if they offer you an extra 40, 50 million, anybody in their right mind that's already been an all-star, that's already won a World Series, and be like, all right, yeah, that sounds good. So any way you try to move and shake what he's doing, whether it's winning, whether it's the money, there's no right or wrong. He deserves it, and he's earned it. It'll just be interesting to see the bidding war and where the numbers come out. That's what I'm most excited for. Anybody that gets him is obviously going to be better for it,
of course.
But I just want interested in kind of the way. I don't think he's going to do any deferred money.
No.
I don't think so.
Nope. He already said he wasn't.
Yeah. And he may take a little bit less AAV and take a bigger signing bonus. I've seen Boris guys do that. Max Scherzer did it. So they've done that before where, it brings down basically their AAV. They just get more up front. So that's what I'm excited for. And I knew there would be a couple sleeper teams. To what extent that they're going to be involved, or they just want to, ruffle some feathers. I don't know, because we've seen some of these teams that aren't willing to pay, but then you get a generational talent like this, and now they want to be in the conversation. So whoever gets him, it's going to be great. I'm just excited to see the back and forth between these teams and the years and the money and how it all breaks down. I think it's such a fun time. And, you obviously, I think December 9th starts winter meetings.
Yep. And they're saying that he is going to take the contract right before winter meetings. If he's saying December 9th, it's probably going to be around that time. I really do believe he's narrowed it down already. I do believe he is sat down with the Mets. He's probably sitting down with the Yankees and the Red Sox before the week is over. I mean, the week's almost over. We're Wednesday now, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and then you go into Sunday. Sunday's the new week. So what is it going to take? Probably 2 more days where he's going to sit down and him and Scott are probably going to narrow it down to 2 teams or 3 teams. I do believe the Red Sox will be in the mix. I do not believe they're going to give him $600 million. I cannot see Henry, after all that money he's put into those soccer teams or the soccer team he has over there in England, that he's just going to invest $650 or $600 million into just one player. I cannot see that. Now, he gave Devers $300 million. He's one of the best young third basemen in baseball. But to give Devers $300 and then give him $650, you have 2 players worth $1 billion. I can't see Henry doing that. So let's cut Boston out of it. The only 3 teams I think I don't believe he wants to go. And I'm being honest. I do not believe he wants to go to LA. I do not believe he wants to go out west, because the stories out there when he was in San Diego, he didn't like it out there. He didn't like the West Coast. So if that's the case, it's only down to the Mets, the Yankees, and the Blue Jays. I really do believe the Blue Jays will give him whatever they can, years and money, to get him over there in Toronto. Now, if they do that, Vladimir Guerrero is gone, and so is Bo Bichette. There is no way, if they're going to pay Juan Soto about $650 or even $670 million for 14 years, they're going to be able to pay Vladimir Guerrero, which is expecting between $280 and $300 million, and Bo Bichette, who's probably a better player, all-around player than Vladimir Guerrero, probably around that same amount of money. So I think both those guys are going to be gone. So I don't know if this is a good move for the Blue Jays, but again, the Blue Jays are all about selling tickets. I don't know if it's about winning championships, because the last time they won a championship was when Joe Carter was playing for the team and Roberto Alomar. So I have not seen Toronto play in a World Series since then. So I think it's a big move for whatever organization decides to go after Juan Soto. It's a move that either it's going to be a trendsetter, it's going to take you to the promised land, or you're going to overpay for them. As we all know, the Nationals got a boatload from San Diego.